guys, and welcome back to the podcast. My name is Robbie Cassidy, and in this episode of the podcast, we are going to look at 5 ways that you can improve your well-being. Now, there's obviously multiple ways of doing it, and in this one, I'm not going to talk specifically about the health ones in terms of like your hydration, your stress, your sleep, and all that. I want to look at a few different ways because I know a lot of people who've listened to this podcast for a long time have heard me talk about those before, and I will talk about them again in future and ways of optimizing it. But I want to, in this podcast, maybe give you a different view on ways you can improve your well-being, your state of mind, maybe just improve your day overall, I guess is probably the easiest way. And all of these things are something that I try to include in my day. And as I work with clients, or as I have been working with clients, I've been noticing that it becomes more important to include these in their week, in their days and in their weeks, making sure that you're taking off every one of them, definitely over a week. But if you can take them all off in a day, even better. Okay, and it doesn't mean you have to take them off every day. If you're only taking off 2 or 3 of them every day, then that's perfect. But at the end of the week, if you look back at this and say, okay, right, I've definitely included at least one of those every single day, or I've ticked off all 5 of them at the end of the week, you can be sure that on reflection, that's going to be a good week in general, okay? Generally speaking. So I guess to jump into it, the first one I think that's really important for people to include in their day is a challenge. Some type of a small challenge daily, I think, is a huge way. It's a really effective way of improving your mental health, your physical health in some situations, and just overall you'll feel so much better after it if you accomplish something. You feel, that's probably the better word for it, is you feel accomplished at the end of the day. So for some people it might be going to the gym. Okay, so like when I talk about these are things you may be doing already. It could be that you're going to the gym, you're getting a gym session in, and you feel accomplished, you feel better for doing it, you feel like you have obviously bettered yourself and bettered your mental health and bettered your physical health. So training is a huge one. Getting to the gym, even if it's going for a run, if it could be something like getting out and playing or kicking a ball against a wall, it could be pucking, it could be just doing something small like skill learning, chess, learning to juggle, learning to knit. Simple little things like that. Some way that you can challenge yourself on a daily basis, I think, is a huge one in keeping you focused and keeping you motivated. Because when you get into the habit of challenging yourself daily, you'll find that first it'll improve your discipline, which we know that motivation is fickle because it comes and goes, but discipline is huge. And if you can challenge yourself daily, you'll be better able to handle the stresses of life, as well as I really, really advocate the idea of voluntary discomfort. And people who know me will know what I'm talking about in this way. I really think that voluntary discomfort is huge. I think even the fact that people that go for long runs, or people that go for runs who maybe even aren't used to running, people who jump into the gym and get session done, people who go to the sauna or a cold bath, a cold shower maybe in the morning. They're really simple ways of putting yourself through voluntary discomfort, and in turn then that will help you to be more resilient and better able to cope with just the stressors on a day-to-day. So when I say skill learning in itself is, to learn a new skill, you obviously have to put, like, it's not all just sunlight and, it's not all just everything is great and it all falls into place. There's going to be challenges involved in learning a new skill. And that in itself, that getting to the point of a small bit of frustration, a bit of anxiousness, or you're a small bit annoyed, in ways can be good for you, okay, if it's controlled. Now, if you let it get out of control, that you're just pissed off at everything all day long, and you're maybe challenging yourself too much and you're not giving yourself enough time to actually enjoy the activities, then you're going to fall out of it and you're not going to continue to do it. But the very first one I think that everyone should do is I think you need to challenge yourself on a day-to-day. So if you don't know what it is, take a cold shower in the morning or in the evening. Jump into a sauna. Maybe go for a swim in the sea. It could be that you just get a gym session in, or that you're going to football training, or you're going to do a run. This idea of an involuntary stress, I think, stands to people, and you definitely do become a lot more resilient. And if you are in a situation maybe that you with friends, or if you're playing in a team situation, because you were able to put yourself through these voluntary stressors in time, when involuntary ones, when things just come at you in life, you'll have a better ability to cope with them. So overall, your coping will improve, because you're going to look at it as, okay, I've been in this situation before. And as I said, it doesn't have to be a crazy challenge every day, but small challenges go a long way. Now, looking at the next one, the number 2, this is one that I have I've talked about it for years, but in the last 12 to 18 months, it's something that I've really gone deep on, and something that I've really, really focused on, and I've tried to include in most of my days. I'm looking that I'm working at home, so I'm able to do it, but I think including naps in your day, or including rest periods where you sit down or lie down and close your eyes and don't take in anything, I think is one of the most underutilized recovery strategies for everything. Not just physical recovery, but mental recovery as well. Emotional recovery comes into play, in that if you go to sleep and you wake up, you always have a different perspective on something. You have a more, I guess, a well-rounded perspective on it, because you're able to take in things that at the time when you, let's say if it's a discussion or an argument you're having with somebody, at the time your emotions can take over and your ego can take over, and you can really fight against something, and it's very hard to see someone else's perspective in that situation. But if you go for a sleep, and if you go for a nap, a lot of the time when you wake up, you're going to have a different perspective on it. And I think in general, when we're looking at, like, if you're training twice a day, or if you're training and you've a heavy session in the evening and you've had a heavy morning at work, it's really important to try fit in a 10 to 26 minute nap where you're just lying down, closing your eyes and not taking anything in. Now, with naps, I think a lot of people get stuck with the fact that they think that, all right, I lie down, but I never got to sleep. And that, it really doesn't make a difference if you sleep or not. If you get this idea of a non-sleep rest where you're just lying down and you're not taking in anything, it gives your body a chance to recover. It's not like a break in the day. It's like a second sleep. Obviously it is a second sleep, but it's like a second, it's like a second night sleep, I think, anyway. I think that when you wake up after it, even though you might be groggy for the first 5 to 10 minutes, the next 5 to 6 hours are always better. If you nap for a small bit longer, it might take you longer to wake up, and if you do it late in the day, you can affect your sleep. And I've seen this, or I've done it myself, where I've went for like a nap because maybe I was training a good bit, I didn't sleep too well the night before, it was extended, and the nap ended up being an hour and a half. And even though I feel great, like I only did this last week, and I went to training that evening, it came to 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't able to sleep at night because I did it too late in the day and I stayed in bed for way too long. So there's an element of discipline as well with naps, that you need to be you need to know, all right, I'm going to lie down here for 20 minutes and then after that I'm going to get up. And ways of helping yourself to do that: put your alarm across the room. You could do something like a caffeine nap, where you lie down and you drink a cup of coffee and then you literally go straight to bed. That's a technique used by, I think, the Navy SEALs actually came up with that. Or maybe it didn't come up with it, but started to use it a lot more. But yeah, that idea of a caffeine nap is a huge one, because obviously the caffeine takes a small time to kick in, and when it does kick in, then you obviously feel the effects of it, and you're going to be a lot more alert, so you won't be as keen on lying down. What I have done in the past, and it's probably something that I wouldn't do as much, is I've got caught with drinking a cup of coffee, espresso or something like that, and then jumping on my phone to set an alarm and writing back to people on WhatsApp, just getting back to it, and doing that for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then by the time I lie down, I start to feel that caffeine kicking in a bit more. Now, what you can do in that situation is I'd actually look to go more for like a non-sleep rest where you're just closing your eyes and you're not taking anything in. You know that you probably won't get to sleep, but just giving your body a chance to kind of rest and recover is still as good. So I would try to, like, if you can do it every day, perfect. But for some people, especially if you're working out of home, it's a lot more realistic to get it at the weekends. I would definitely try to include naps at the weekends if you can. And if you're looking at times, early afternoon, I would say is better, between the hours of maybe 12 and 2, 12 and 3, depending what time you go to bed at. But not doing it too late in the evening, because it does have an effect on you late in the evening. Now, if you are training, what you can do instead is go for one of those 10-minute long sleep rests where it might be 5 or 6 in the evening and all you're doing is lying down for 10 minutes. Very similar to a meditation. But just taking that time out of your day goes a long way in improving the session that you'll have that evening. Okay, but it's something that you'll have to play with. It might work for you. It might keep you up late at night. It's something that I wouldn't be just trying, like when you're doing those later ones, I wouldn't be trying if it's something that you had that was important the next day or early morning and you don't want your sleep to be affected. Something that I would play around more with earlier on in the day. I honestly think that it should be a staple of every company. That every company should have a room or an area that people can go in and take time to lie down and relax. And it's something that it is becoming normalized. In Ireland especially, it's not, whenever I recommend it, it takes a long time. It takes 5 or 6 weeks for a lot of people to even think of doing it. Like when I'm working with a client, it might take them 5 or 6 weeks to even be like, okay, right, I'll actually consider that. Because a lot of people in Ireland, if you're taught to be napping in the middle of the day, it's more of it's seen as you being lazy, really is what it is. And I think that getting that out of your head and knowing why you're doing it and knowing that you're taking that 10, 15, 20 minutes to improve the rest of your day is important. But as I said, try it out, see how you get on with it. It's huge. It's one of the best things that I've kind of really went deep on in the last year. The next one then is looking at spending some time being more conscious. Now, what does this mean? And this one in itself actually ties into the challenge one a bit, because there's a lot of ways of becoming more conscious. You can do it through breathing, through meditation, or through journaling. But a lot of times those techniques themselves, for some people, and I find that often with men, they're less likely to do that. They're less likely to take the time. They may do breathing, but the meditation and journaling side of things, it kind of works against them a small bit. And like, it not works against them, but it's not something that they would consider themselves able to do or comfortable doing. So it could be that you just go for a walk instead. The Japanese have a technique of forest therapy where you literally just go for a walk in a forest. And there's science backing the fact that it obviously makes you more relaxed, makes you more comfortable in yourself. But the idea is that they don't know is it there's chemicals released by the trees that you're picking up on. All in all, I just think going for a walk in nature by itself is so good for you, because it just clears your mind, it clears your head. And it doesn't have to be a long one. It could be only a 15, 20 minute walk, but it really does work to, just to clear your head and just to make you that bit more conscious. It also, if you don't have the chance to go for a walk, let's say you live in Ireland or England in the middle of the winter and it's raining constantly outside, or maybe you're in a place that it's not comfortable to go for a walk because it might be a busy area or a city, and it's just it's busier outside than it is inside, so it's better to kind of just take the time to yourself. Then I would look at doing like a breathing technique, maybe meditating or journaling. And a simple breathing technique that everyone can take away and use is that idea of the box breathing. And all box breathing is you inhale for 5 seconds, you hold for 5 seconds, you exhale for 5 seconds, and then you hold for 5 seconds. And if you look at it in the shape of a box, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds hold, 5 seconds out, and 5 seconds hold. Really simple technique that works for nearly everybody, just to help them calm down. Now, there's so many more like elaborate techniques you can use at breathing as well, ones that are a lot more technical, but as an entry level, take them 3 to 5 minutes to go through the box breathing technique before you maybe go to training, before you go to work. I often say to people, maybe not the best place, most ideal place to do it, but if you are in work, just go into the bathroom, sit down and do it. It helps you to train your body to get into more of a rest and digest, relaxed state. And I'm a firm believer of, obviously the better you are at getting into that state, the more likely you will be able to get into that state of when you go to bed. But they often say with fighters is that they're able to turn it on and turn it off better than anybody. Because when you get into the ring, you really have to turn it on. You have to be firing on all cylinders. But when you get out, you can't be still in that fight mode, or you're going to be a prick. Like, no one's going to like you because you're always going to be angry and aggressive. So turning it on and turning it off is really important. And I think breathing is a great way of doing that. Meditation is another huge one. It could be, or journaling, where you're writing down what's on your mind, just writing down what happened during the day. Write about what you're thinking about, maybe some plans that you have, some goals that you have. And just setting a timer, 5 minutes, or maybe just say, I'm going to journal 1 page today. You can make it writing as big or small as you want then. But something that's all encompassing, something that takes your mind away from what you're doing, is a great way of obviously becoming more conscious, but you feel so much better always after doing it. Helps you to reflect. It obviously takes your full focus, but at the end of it, you'll just feel a lot more in tune and grounded is probably the word I'm looking for. Another technique that works alongside that is gratitude. Now, gratitude is something that I don't practice as much myself, but I know a lot of clients do. And it's something that I need to practice more. But it's a really effective way of lifting your spirits in a lot of ways. Being grateful for things around you. Being grateful for having a life that you have. The challenges that you are able to overcome. The challenges that are in front of you now. Being grateful for the people you have around you. Being grateful for that you're able to get out and train, or that you're able to, let's say, that you're in a position that you can listen to podcasts from people around the world. Like, that's a simple one, but a lot of people don't have that access. A position that you are able to, let's say, I don't know, if you want to look at monetary things, like buy the clothes that you have a car, not be struggling to survive. Like, gratitude goes a long way, and there's so many things. A lot of the times we just focus on the same ones. Very happy to have the people around me. Very happy to have this ability to do what I can, or be able to train on a day to day. You know, there's a lot of things you can do, but when you look at the other things and you pick up on the smaller ones and you're grateful for the small things, that really, really, like, that goes a long way, and you get better at it, and it becomes a skill, and overall then you become a lot more grounded. You become a more grounded person in yourself, a lot more confident in yourself. And as I said, it's something, I'll be honest, I don't practice as much as I should, but I will start to get back into it, and I will start to build on it again. My side of it is probably being more, I enjoy walking, I enjoy going to the gym, I enjoy breathing, I enjoy journaling, and I enjoy meditating. And they're all things that I include one of them every single day, I would say. But yeah, training is another great one for helping you be more conscious. So figure out what works for you and then try to include that in your day. The next one then is spending time with family, friends, or loved ones. Now, this is something that you may not be able to do every day, but it's something that you should try to include in your week, every week, I think. The social side of things is so important. And it becomes more important when times are tough as well. That's really when you notice that, okay, actually it's good to have these people around me. And it might be that you have one person that you can rely on, or one person that you would call a close friend, or you could have a group of people. Or it could be that, it might not even be that you want to engage with your close friends or your family. It could be that you go to a class, and like I know with the gym I used to work with in Gort, give it a shout out to the Powerhouse. There was a huge community there that people loved to come to the gym, and they still do. They love to come to the gym because they're meeting like-minded people, and they're all there to achieve the same goal. So that side of having a group of like-minded people is huge. And that social side of going in and kind of talking to people and throwing out ideas and then working together and challenging yourselves together is huge. So it doesn't just have to be that you're with your close relatives, because I know a lot of the time people would prefer not to be with their family because they don't get on with them, or sometimes their friends, they're just not in the mood for them. So it is good to find those groups of people that you can go in and you can connect to and then disconnect from as well. For me, I love competing with friends together, like playing on a team, or against them. So, and I know if there's someone listening to this, they'll probably, some people could say, oh, that's toxic masculinity, which you could possibly, if you want to look at it that way, grand. That's not the way I would look at it. But at this age, I really enjoy competing. And that's with and against friends. So it could be anything. Like it could be FIFA. It could be playing table tennis. It could be obviously playing football. Boxing was a big one. And jiu-jitsu is my big one at the moment. And it's not as much of, okay, I need to come out on top here and win. Because if it gets to that stage, then you become very egotistical and no one's enjoying it. It's more that I want to challenge myself today. And I want to challenge myself with people I like, obviously close friends, people I love, people I also want to see them doing their best. And I think then you find that you both bring the best out of each other. Now, it can get to the point that it becomes egotistical, and that toxic masculinity side of it may come into it, where people become more aggressive and more assertive, and it's not enjoyable then. But if you can keep it within a nice zone of everyone's enjoying themselves, but you're still pushing each other, I think that's huge. And for me especially, it's a thing that I love. For other people, it might be different. Now, for you, it could be that you enjoy, let's say, playing chess together. It could be that you enjoy going and doing art or pottery. It could be that you like doing board games or card games. Or it could be that you just want to meet someone for a coffee or go for a walk together. Simple things go a long way. And the more you include them in your day, the better your day will be. Okay, so for me, it's funny, when I was actually doing this up, I actually had to really think outside for myself, because I was like, what else? I could only think about what I was enjoying at the time. I was like, well, I love this, like table tennis, I love jiu-jitsu, I love playing football, I love paddle tennis, stuff like that. And then I was like, okay, maybe other people obviously have a different perspective on it. So what other ways could you look at it? So I actually wanted to throw it to you and see what other things you can think about, what you enjoy doing. As I said, like it could be art, it could be just sitting down watching a movie together. It could be pottery, it could be board games, card games, just having a talk, going for a walk, going for a run together. Simple things like that. Training together can be huge. But try to have a social aspect to your week, that you are going out and meeting people, and that you are challenging yourself, and that you are also on the same side talking to people, getting their opinion, having a discussion is huge. Now, the last one is looking at helping someone or somebody or something with a task or just anything really. I think if you go out of your way to help somebody, it's nearly like, I wonder, because I've often had this discussion with friends, is it selfish to do it? Because you're actually getting something from it yourself, but at the same time you're giving. And helping someone is a great way. You always feel better for doing it afterwards. I think that's why charity work is a big thing. Obviously, is that it's great to help out other people, but at the same time, you do get something from it. You do feel better for doing it. The lucky thing about my job is I actually love working with people. I love working with people one-to-one, because it's on the same thing. We're on the same wavelength of, okay, let's try achieve a common goal together. Okay, and I think it goes a long way. Something small goes a long way. Obviously, in the coaching side, in the rehab side of things, it's a small bit different. But even if it's something small where you are trying to, maybe you give somebody a gift, or you help someone clean, or you pick up something for somebody in the shop. Small things like that go a long, long way. And they go a long way in just improving your own well-being and your own mental health, your own just giving your time and not expecting to get anything back is huge. And I think the more people do that, the more you will find that you enjoy doing it, obviously, but the more that you'll find that you'll feel more fulfilled. So simple things go a long way. Doing small jobs for people, helping them out, helping them, could be move, help them clean something, give someone a gift, pick up something at a shop. Maybe it's do a bit of charity work. Maybe it is get somebody lunch. Maybe it is just go to the cinema with someone. If you know someone's a bit lonely, someone that having a chat with them. I've a good friend who's he's the best man in the world, that if there's somebody sitting at a bar by themselves on a night out, he will always go up to them. So much so that he definitely brings interesting people into the group at times. But it's a great trait to have, that if you ever see somebody sitting alone or somebody that looks like they're a small bit down, he will always go up and chat to them and see how they're getting on. And then at a certain point, then he may or may not ask them how they're doing or if they need anything or anything like that. Really, really good trait, I think. And I think if more people help out, like you don't have to be helping somebody you know personally. It could be just helping a randomer. But those random acts of kindness go a long way. And they go a long way in helping you yourself to feel better about yourself. Because then it's not just selfishness. That selflessness goes a long way as well. So they are the 5 ways that I would say that you could start to include in your week to improve your well-being. There is loads of ways. There's hundreds to thousands of ways you can do it. But in this one, I just wanted to give simple ones that you can do. Challenge yourself daily. Big or small. Like, it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be a massive challenge, but having one small challenge every day goes a long way. I talked about cold showers, training, trying to learn a new skill. Including naps in your day is huge. If you can, try it out and let me know how you get on with it. 10 to 26 minutes. Remember, it doesn't mean that you actually have to go to sleep. Just lying down and closing your eyes and having no stimulus, no music, no anything around you goes a long way. Try it in the early afternoon as opposed to later in the day, because you don't want it to affect your sleep at night. Spend some time being a bit more conscious, whether that be breathing, meditating, journaling. It could be going for a walk, it could be going for a run, it could be going to the gym. But just something that's all encompassing, something that takes your full focus and helps you to reflect. It could be that you work on gratitude also. And then the last two are spend some time with family and friends, or a loved one, or have a social aspect to your week that you meet people in a meet like-minded people in a certain place or at an event or situation. Like, could be training together, it could be that you're doing art together, it could be that it's like a dance class or a singing class, whatever it is. And then I think the last one is trying to help somebody with something. Random acts of kindness go a long way. And I know, like, some of the happiest people I know are people who have a very good, they're very selfless with some things, and they will always help you out. And I'm sure you may know someone like this as well. They'll always help you out. They will go out of their way to help people, and they will help randomers, not expecting anything back, just because maybe it makes them feel good. It makes them feel like they are more connected to the people around them, but at the same time, it's making someone else feel good. And I think that's a huge one. If you can make one person every day feel good about themselves, in the long run, you're going to become a lot more grounded, a lot more secure in yourself, and you're going to be happier with the person you are. So that, guys and girls, is everything I want to talk about today. I hopefully give you a couple of ideas on things that you can start to include in your day. And if anyone has any questions, just reach out to me on Instagram. And I would actually love if you're listening to this podcast, if you could rate this podcast highly, or leave a comment. You can rate on Spotify now, on iTunes, and if you subscribe on YouTube, it goes a long way with promoting the podcast, and I get a better idea of the episodes that you like and the ones that you want to hear more of. I would love if you could do it, and I would really, really appreciate if you'd actually send this to a friend, somebody who you feel may be interested in it, somebody who you may feel may take something from it. And yeah, it goes, as I said, it goes a really long way in promoting the podcast. And then obviously the bigger the podcast gets, the better guests I can get on it also. So I do really, really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this podcast. If you could take a minute more just to rate it, I would really appreciate that as well. Share it on your story if you found it good, and all of the other side of it. If anyone has any questions, you can find me on Instagram or TikTok at Mobility Tutor, and YouTube at Mobility Tutor as well. At the moment, I'm mostly working through podcast is kind of the big one, and obviously Instagram, and then a TikTok at times. And I am in the process of starting to kick off my newsletters for my email again. But if anyone also wants a return to running program, just scroll down to the bottom of the podcast in the description, in the show notes, and you should be able to just click there and download the free return to running program. But yeah, that is everything from me today, guys and girls. I hope everyone is doing well, and I will chat to you all again soon. Have a good one.